Hello, short story ideas. Monday, is it the 4th of August today or the 3rd? It's the somethingth of August and it's early on in the month. And that in itself could be a short story from somebody who gets two dates mixed up and, I don't know, turns up for a court appearance a day late or something like that with hilarious stroke disastrous results. Okay, so if you want to write that one down, there's one for free. But they're all for free. I'm not charging money for this. But, right, so Monday news, and like I said about the news, it's not the political news that's important, it's the kind of the science and the sociology and all those other little bits of news that provide nuggets for short story ideas, short story inspirations. And this one is interesting because of the lockdown regulations in the UK at the moment. There's a town in called Wigan in the northwest of England, and I'm sure this is possibly true of a lot of other places, but there's a street in it which acts as a kind of like almost like a river, a border. So everything on one side of that belongs to a big metropolis called Greater Manchester, and the other belongs to, I believe it says West Lancashire in the news thing. But the point is they've got different regulations because there's been a spike in infection rate in Greater Manchester. Everybody on one side of the street is not allowed to socialise with their family, their greater family. Obviously the family that live in their house, they're okay, but they can't go for weddings, funerals, any of those other things, because they live on that side of the street. Had they bought a house or rented a house on the opposite side of the road, no such restrictions. And I'm not sure how this is going to work, because I would imagine that if that part of the population are prone to getting COVID-19 and this half are within, what is it, maybe, let's say it's 60 metres across the street, which would be about 60 yards, which I doubt. 50 yards, it seems like rather a lot. It's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's about 6 cars widths, maybe 8 if it's a very wide road. So you, anyway, it's a fairly short distance, and viruses are no respecter of this kind of thing, especially if animals, mink and cats, and I presume bats and other animals can pass this on by sneezing in the atmosphere and it landing on you. If that is the case, there's the science fiction aspect of this. But no, this is about borders. This goes back to the John Lennon song. Imagine there's no countries, just a brotherhood of man. All very well until you get something like this. But a lot of borders are fairly imaginary. The one between the United States and Canada doesn't really exist in most places. People pass freely and are supposed to self-report if they've got anything illegal or requiring taxation, customs, all that kind of stuff. I wonder if they all do. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they're fine, upstanding citizens who always do that. Anyway, right, so that one little snippet got me thinking, well, there's a good idea. So, romance, Romeo and Juliet, historical, the real Romeo and Juliet, as a kind of a border there. Is it political when two families are feuding? Or two tribes are feuding? Or two nations are feuding? Love conquers all. Or does it? It can make all seem to go away. Comedy. I'm sure there's been what was it? There was a black and white movie from Ealing. Passport to Pimlico. That's right. They discovered that they were owned by the French. And more historically, and this can go in history, until very, very recently, I believe it was the city of, was it either Carlisle or Berwick-on-Tweed, was at war with France, because at the time of the Napoleonic Wars, it would belong to either Scotland or England. I think Berwick-on-Tweed now is part of England, but at the time it was at war with France, but part of Scotland, and they never signed a whatever. But anyway, so until very recently, about 15 years ago, it was at war with France and Napoleon. Other borders, well, there's the DMZ in North Korea, where I visited it, and they are very, firm about you not pointing so much as at the north. And yet the DMZ is a strip of land extending across the Korean peninsula, and there are people there with farms, and they get higher rates for their crops. They're more subsidized because of the danger to them, and I presume if the conditions are right, people can pass freely back and forth. The thing is, the conditions are apparently never right, because from what I gather, the North Korean guards are very, very vigilant. Okay, so what else we got? Sci-fi, well, dystopia. That could be fantasy as well, the border between one realm and another. And horror, again, a realm, but instead of a benign sort of spirit stroke entity, it's something it's what Halloween's about, isn't it? The dead are supposed to walk the earth for at midnight for however long. What else have we got? Biographical. Well, you could write something about any particular war, any civil war, where there have been artificial borders, literary, well, cause and effect. Case in point, Wigan, two people on opposite sides of the roads, and one person finds that it's a cause and effect, so that their life is impacted one way, and somebody a family on the other side find that their life is impacted equally dramatically, but in another way. Historical, political. Well, borders are political, aren't they? I mean, they don't really exist unless it's mountains or big wide rivers. What else have we got? Oh, surreal, where that would go in with horror and fantasy. Jury, okay, somebody breaks the border and they're on trial. And that would be it. Okay, so 7 minutes and 52. Okay, gotta go. Like, subscribe, etc. Bye-bye.